that's really why we put them under plastic, is because they're one of the reasons. There's a number of reasons why you put strawberries in plastic. One of them is for weed control and the fact that they'll sit and get rained on all winter long, and the crop is in the ground for almost an entire year. So the plastic really helps us. It also keeps the berries clean, and heats up the soil as well. So it has kind of multiple functions. All of the carrots that we have to pull them. So we will be doing that in the next couple weeks. Just probably we'll have a couple harvest lumps with the folks that are here, and it's not that many of us, but we need to get them out of the ground. And if we could potentially till them in, but we really run into issues with carrot rust fly, which is our biggest carrot pest. And if we don't pull the carrots out of the ground, then what we really need to do is break the life cycle of that pest in the winter time by pulling everything, carrots, parsnips, all of their favorite crops out of the ground. So plus if we can actually get them out of the ground and into the root washer, they will be carrots for the winter for pantry and pop up and such.
Do you do like celery over the winter? So in the same family, is that a reason why, or is it?
It seems like, so rustfly they do like crops in the Apiaceae family, but particularly the starchy.
Oh, okay, they like
crops,
the roots.
So parsnips and carrots, and they are. I don't think there's much of. I haven't seen them swarming around like parsley roots or anything like that. Although it's a good question. It'd be interesting to look and see.
Have we ever grown celery?
We have, but it's a really water-intensive crop, and so doesn't really. To me, it's not really worth it.
That's what I think.
Yeah. So it's really only good for.
It's so easy to fuck up too. Like if you don't grow celery, right? It just grows.
Yeah, it's hard to grow because it really just takes such an incredible amount of water.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's
I think
gross?
oftentimes people just don't irrigate it enough. I mean, actually, fresh grown celery is delicious, but we can't grow everything.
Yeah.
So we have to draw the line somewhere. So the crops that we draw the line, we grow just about everything, but sometimes we draw the line at like those sort of finicky crops that kind of we haven't had tons of success with for various reasons. And then anything that is really, it's not like we're choosing a selection of drought tolerant crops, but anything that kind of takes extra water is like not high on our list.
Totally.
So, we're in California, so thinking about water. And then the rest of the greens will stay in the ground. They won't bolt, though. I mean, now they'll be fine for a few months. And I'm just thinking about what else we have. We will be harvesting through the winter, and we'll take a few week break during, and then we'll have a internship starting up in January. So it's really just a few weeks that we don't have people to help us manage the fields and gardens.
Cool.
I had one more clarification.
Sure.
So I've heard people say that like the climate like in this specific region of the farm is like an advantage because you get to see like the coastal whatever from
Maritime
the hill.
influence.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Huh?
What do you mean by that?
The coastal, what do I mean by?
Like the maritime influence, like why is that? What's a factor of being able to see the ocean and having it like come up to the farm? Like what does that mean?
Without really, I don't know that much about weather in general, or but it does. It's sort of the coast has the effect of because we're right on the coast, we don't get freezing temperatures. We don't get what's the word? Moderates. Thank you. That's the word. Kind of moderates the weather system here, and so really, it keeps us in this sort of zone where it's like just warm enough to grow a handful of crops that are that like the heat, that would actually probably thrive more in really hot climates. But then because we're next to the ocean and we get all this like coastal fog, like when it's hot in the Central Valley, it pulls moisture off the ocean and we get all of this fog, right?
Mhm.
So it allows us to grow crops here in the summertime in particular that you wouldn't be able to grow in places where it gets a lot hotter. So we can grow spinach and we can grow lettuce. We can grow all the greens, we can grow broccoli. I mean, this is stuff that you would literally just take a break from in the middle of the summer in a lot of climates. And
Yeah.
we can grow them here. It also allows us to grow things, it allows us to dry farm, which is something, and again, it's like being so close to the water and having the coastal fog allows us to dry farm crops that are dry farmable. So that brings me to the tomatoes, which are right there. So we've got all of those tomatoes out there are dry farm tomatoes. So in order to dry farm tomatoes, you have to have you need to be in sort of a coastal climate. So you need kind of the maritime influence again, like morning fog or cooler mornings. You need kind of either a clay soil or a clay subsoil. So because why is that? Because what
'Cause
about the
it-
clay soil is
Clay holds
beneficial?
more water.
Holds more water. So clay soil.
Would you say this is clay?
No, this is a sandy loam,
Sandy
but we
loam.
have a clay subsoil. So the top few feet is a sandy loam, but we get down into a clay soil, and the tomato roots of particular varieties are so vigorous that they make it very far down into that clay that holds on to the moisture.
So
And
that's
then you
why you have
also
early
need
growth.
winter rain. So you need we have and no rain in the summer. So like the Mediterranean climate where we have no rain, so you can't dry farm something if it's raining, right? So we have dry summers and we have wet winters. In the wet winter time, we're recharging our soil with moisture. So we're kind of building that moisture bank in our soil. So we can plant these tomato plants, and then I guess that the other thing you need is it's varietal selection. So the types of tomatoes that you're choosing is really important. So we choose vigorous, typically or traditionally like vigorous hybrids. So and in particular one is the Early Girl, and that's sort of like the classic dry farm tomato. And Early Girl is it's like an old home garden variety that came from France. It's like bred in France. And it really was just meant to be a garden variety, not a commercial variety that is early. So, so fast growing, which means, fast days to maturity. But we have just, I think, over a number of years of trial and error found that it's the best dry farm tomato because it has a really vigorous root system, and for whatever reason, the flavor and the way that it holds up is really good. So, yeah.
I have a question about the Early Girl seed being bought out by Monsanto
Yeah.
and how that plays into getting an organic certification still, because we're not supposed to use GMO seeds.
Well, they're not GMO.